1962, two men, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, would introduce the world to a web-slinging teenage superhero they had never seen before. Peter Parker would not only be welcomed by the public and adapted into multiple forms of media, but quickly became the most profitable superhero character of all time. Still, despite his status as the world's most popular superhero, Spider-Man was not immune to the phenomenon of lost media, with some of the content created for the character over the years going missing. From multiple video games to a legendary fan film that earned Stan Lee's blessing, today we're going to explore some of these lost Marvel treasures. Welcome to Top Tower Review, the program where we look back at media through the ages, and today we're talking Spider-Man Lost Media. The Spider-Man Safety Series. The Spider-Man Safety Series were a run of 4 11-minute animated PSA video specials from 1990, each about different educational topics intended to be shown in a classroom setting during elementary school. The 4 video specials were titled Don't Hide Abuse, Smart Kids Play It Safe, What to Do About Drugs, and Where Do You Go for Help. However, as of the making of this video, all except for Don't Hide Abuse remain lost. The videos were produced by Coronet MTI Film and were distributed by the Learning Corporation of America, also known as the Learning Company of America, or simply LCA, which distributed educational film and television products. The company was originally started by film executive William Deneen in 1967 as an educational media division of Columbia Pictures. Eventually, Columbia sold the company off in 1974, and it passed hands multiple times throughout the 1970s and 80s, including the Mobil Oil Corporation owning them at one point. For some reason, Mobil Oil thought that having an entertainment division during these 2 decades was a good idea for their company. Deneen himself actually bought the company back in 1987. It wasn't to last though, with the company being sold yet again in 1990 to a newly formed company called New World Pictures, which unfortunately ended up shutting LCA down. This means that these 1990 Spider-Man PSAs were some of the last works the company created. With its closure happening over 30 years ago, information regarding the series has become increasingly difficult to track down. Additionally, the series during its production was sold exclusively to elementary schools and educational outlets such as public libraries, meaning few, if any, tapes would have landed in the personal collections of VHS tape owners. Due to this, not a single frame of animation from 3 of the 4 specials is available online. One of the specials, Don't Hide Abuse, was located in the collection of a Lost Media Wiki user by the name of C. David, who chose to keep the tape from a library he worked at when they were transitioning from VHS to DVD. The PSA in full has since been uploaded by that user to YouTube and is readily available to watch today. This tape gives context to the format of these specials.
Stop your crying, Maria! It's all your fault. You shouldn't be sneaking around spying on me all the time.
As to where the specials' rights land today, it must be assumed they are with Disney, due to their ownership of Spider-Man. The Lost Media Wiki user Rogue Knight contacted the publisher of these videos and got a response. Quote, "We received your letter and did some research. It looks like Phoenix distributed these for a while and then withdrew them. These were produced by LCA, the Learning Corporation of America, as the Spider-Man Safety Series, and most of the LCA titles, including these, were acquired by Fox that then licensed them back to Phoenix. The Fox contract shows that Fox rights were due to expire in 2005, but since we never heard whether Fox renewed those rights, we don't know the current status. The contract also shows that all distribution is subject to underlying rights belonging to Marvel." That last sentence further confirms Disney's ownership of the series, and considering their age, they will likely never be re-released. Supposed existence of some of the missing tapes has been found in various libraries across the United States using library search engines such as WorldCat. One such example is a copy of the What to Do About Drugs special, which supposedly exists at a small library in Kansas. At the moment, however, these library searches have not resulted in the release of any additional materials. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 Mary Jane Watson Scenes. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, starring Andrew Garfield and directed by Mark Webb, arguably has the least amount of love from the public out of all of Spidey's blockbuster outings. Still, Emma Stone's performance as Gwen Stacy remains a highlight of the duology. However, there were plans to introduce the character of Mary Jane Watson into the franchise in the second film, the role being played by Shailene Woodley of the Divergent film series. Scenes were reportedly shot, including 3 scenes that are confirmed to exist. A scene that takes place before MJ is introduced to anyone, where she sits in a coffee shop as Spider-Man stops a crime, a scene where Peter Parker meets MJ for the first time as she drives up on a motorcycle, and a scene where Stacy and Watson meet for the first time at Peter's house. The scenes were ultimately cut from the final film due to director Mark Webb believing their inclusion would take away from the focal and tragic story of Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy's relationship. Quote, "There was one little scene at the beginning where she is next door, and it took place right around the montage where he comes back. And then there is another little moment between Gwen and MJ, but it just tipped over. The relationship between Peter and Gwen is so sacred and so powerful that it just didn't feel right. And it sucks because Shailene is such a great actress and so cool and magical, but it was just about having this obligation to this romance that I thought was sacred. It was just one of those things." With the increase in attention on these older Spidey films in the wake of No Way Home, perhaps we shall one day see these deleted scenes. However, as of the making of this video, the scenes have never been made available online or on any home media release, and they remain lost. Spider-Man video games. Over the years, the Spider-Man IP has been crafted into a multitude of video games. Spider-Man has seen fairly decent critical success in his titles compared to some other superheroes, and therefore new releases have become a regular thing. However, 3 different Spider-Man titles, each from different eras in gaming, have noticeably become lost media over the years. The first from the pre-Spider-Man movie era is Spider-Man: The Venom Factor, developed by Sapphire and published by Byron Priest Multimedia for Windows 95 in the year 1996. With an estimated release date in early 1997. The game was to be a sequel to Byron Priest Multimedia's previous entry for Windows 95, Spider-Man: The Sinister Six, developed that time by Brooklyn Multimedia and released in 1996. Sinister Six was developed using 3D models for backgrounds and more traditionally animated 2D assets in the foreground, while the Venom Factor was presumably using fully 3D graphics for the game, as shown in an animation from the title, which was released by Sapphire on their website. This is the only known footage of the game to exist. The title was cancelled for unknown reasons, though it is notable that Sapphire included the Venom Factor in a list of games that were fully completed by the company on their website back in the 90s, which can be accessed via the Wayback Machine. Whether or not Sapphire was truly as far along in development on the Venom Factor as their website claimed has yet to be proven. If it does exist, however, no playable version of the game has been found as of the making of this video. A few years later, in 2002, Activision published a video game tie-in to the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie starring Tobey Maguire. Maguire and Willem Dafoe both reprised their roles as Spider-Man/Peter Parker and Green Goblin/Norman Osborn, respectively. However, the decision to have Maguire reprise his role wasn't agreed to before voice actor Josh Keaton had already recorded all of the lines for the role of Peter Parker. Some of Keaton's performance remains during a few scenes during an unlockable mode when the player controls Green Goblin. As in this mode, Goblin and Spidey sometimes use the same lines. Here is an example of Keaton's performance versus Maguire's.
Come on, freak. You need to learn a lesson, and Shocker's School of Hard Knocks is now open.
Oh, give me a break, Shock. I can't believe you have any class, let alone a whole school worth.
Come on, freak. You need to learn a lesson, and Shocker's School of Hard Knocks is now open.
Give me a break, Shock. I can't believe you have any class, let alone a whole school worth.
Besides this handful of lines, Keaton's performances remain completely lost to the public. It is believed that all of the game's lines had been recorded by Keaton, so a significant amount of material is still missing. A few years later still, the film Spider-Man 4, another entry in the Maguire-Raimi franchise, was planned and expected for a 2011 release. The film was cancelled fairly late into development, and so a video game adaptation of the proposed film had already begun. The game was was understandably cancelled alongside its film counterpart. The studio that was developing the title, Radical Entertainment, reportedly used a large portion of the game in their later title, Prototype 2, including the highly detailed New York City model the team had already completed during production on Spider-Man 4. On September 10th, 2019, Twitter user @AndrewEarly7 shared some screenshots of the game, just 2 months before a YouTuber shared video footage of gameplay. Then, 2 years later, in September of 2021, the Xbox 360 version of the game had leaked in full onto the internet. Today, both the Xbox 360 and Wii versions of the game can easily be found in full online. While this title now sits as a piece of found media that was lost, I find the story of this almost was 4th Spidey movie title from Raimi and Maguire to be quite an interesting end to that era of Spidey films. Spider-Man Raimi Trilogy Deleted Scenes. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy is incredible in that it, alongside the first X-Men films, redefined superhero movies by making people take them seriously for the first time possibly ever. As beloved and quintessential as this trilogy is, a large number of deleted scenes from the features are lost to this very day. Lost media hunters have scoured for television commercials, trailers, home media promos, B-roll footage, entertainment news interviews, and more to separate and collect snippets or occasionally entire scenes of various deleted scenes that are known to exist. A few examples of scenes that were lost but have been found this way include a scene from Spider-Man 2 of Peter chaining up his bike and entering his apartment, which was only included in the TV version of the film, not appearing in the theatrical cut or the Spider-Man 2.1 version recut, which was released on DVD. Another small example is Kirsten Dunst saying "wow" like a stereotypical California girl after she is saved by Spider-Man and left on the rooftop.
Wow.
The full list of missing scenes can be found in the Lost Media Wiki, linked below, as there are simply too many to talk about in one video. Some of the more interesting ones include a scene from Spider-Man where Mary Jane is kidnapped by Green Goblin in her apartment, a scene from Spider-Man 2 where J. Jonah Jameson plays make-believe as Spider-Man in his office, or a scene from Spider-Man 3 where Sandman gets to visit his daughter by pretending to be a sandcastle. With the release of No Way Home and renewed interest in the Raimi titles, perhaps these scenes will one day be re-released by Sony. For now, however, these pieces of the trilogy sit waiting to be found. Spider-Man vs. Craven the Hunter. Spider-Man's potential as a cinematic character was noticed quickly as the 1970s, approximately a decade from the character's inception. While many remember the campy television show of the 1970s, there exists another piece of Spider-Man media from this era that remains lost to this day. This film is Spider-Man vs. Craven the Hunter, a 30-minute fan film project from 1972 by Bruce Cardozo and a team of his fellow students at the Tisch School of the Arts at New York University. This project was enormous for a student film, involving a very large budget, detailed original costumes, special effects work, professional stunt work, and more. Cardozo and his team even mailed a letter to Stan Lee himself with their plan to base the film off of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 15, starring Craven the Hunter and Chameleon. While the film could not be distributed or monetized due to Marvel's legal copyrights, Lee wrote back to Cardozo with elated support for the project. The film started to get attention in the comic book community and was screened at multiple conventions throughout the 1970s, including the second annual Marvel Comics convention in 1976. The last screening of the film known to have happened was in 2005 at a comic book and sci-fi convention in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, Cardozo refused to ever release the film on the internet, even after other popular Spidey fan film director Dan Poole, the director of The Green Goblin's Last Stand, reached out to Cardozo to try and receive a copy. Cardozo refused once again. Cardozo unfortunately passed away in 2015, and the computer that he had, which is believed to have held his personal copy of the film, was supposedly destroyed. Still, other copies of the film are known to exist, such as the print used at the 1976 convention. Whether or not the film is lost forever has yet to be seen, but as of now, this early Spidey success story remains missing. And there we have it, a few cases of Spider-Man lost media. As always, sources are in the description down below. Please don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more. This year's projects have had a slower start to them than I would have liked, but I have some incredibly exciting stuff in the pipeline that I can't wait to share with you all. For now, this has been Silence, signing off. I'll see you all next time on Top Tower Review.